Reborn in 1978, I started off owing a massive debt of 1,000 yuan. The whole village was waiting to laugh at me and my 3 ex-wives. But instead, I plunged straight into the back mountain, and on the first day alone, I brought down 6 pheasants, cleared my debts in 10 days, and built a new house in half a year. The people who used to sneer at us are now lining up to propose marriage, but not one of my 3 ex-wives is willing to leave. I suddenly opened my eyes and found a flushed-faced woman forcefully pushing against my chest. "Stop that! Hurry and go! Leave before anyone sees you!" A wave of hazy memories surged through my mind, and I was suddenly shocked awake. This was Su Wanqing, the village doctor from my youth. She was still alive? Had I really been reborn back to 1978? What shocked me even more was that my memories told me Su Wanqing was actually my 3rd ex-wife. Before I could process all this, Su Wanqing had already shoved me away, hurriedly putting on her clothes, her eyes darting nervously toward the window. "Do you even know what situation we're in right now? If the villagers see that you've come back, and word gets to Lai Motzi, he'll come after us mother and son for the dead again." Lai Motzi. My head buzzed, and the fragmented memories came flooding in like a breached dam. So in my previous life, I was a solitary forest ranger. But in this life, I had been married 3 times and divorced 3 times. Each of my 3 ex-wives was 1 in 100. The first was the village chief's daughter, the rural teacher Qin Yuchan. The second was Jiang Xinyue, the daughter of a capitalist family sent down for re-education. And the third was the village doctor before my eyes, Su Wanqing. I had a child with each of them, and yet I ended up divorced from them all. As my memories became clearer, I finally understood. The real reason I divorced Wanqing was that I had been set up by the village bully Lai Motzi and fallen into a gambling addiction, losing everything I had. Lai Motzi brought people to my door every day to collect the debt, smashing things, dumping excrement, doing every vile thing imaginable. I may have been a bastard, but I still had the last shred of conscience. And I didn't want to drag my wife and children down with me, so I forced Wanqing to divorce me. But after the divorces, none of my 3 ex-wives were willing to leave. In 1978, a woman's reputation mattered more than her life, yet they would rather endure the gossip from their own families. In the end, my mother Zhou Guilin felt sorry for her daughters-in-law and the children, so she kept them all in the house. The women and children struggled on, barely making ends meet. As for me, I ran off alone to hide from my debts and hadn't dared come back for more than half a year. I only snuck back today because I missed the children so much. Why are you still standing there? Su Wanqing stamped her feet anxiously. Hurry and leave through the back door. Lai Motzi only came the day before yesterday and said that if the money isn't paid back soon, he'll sell us off into the mountain gullies. Looking at Wanqing's reddened eyes, my chest tightened with pain. After all the wrong I'd done to this woman, she was still worrying about my safety. I remembered clearly that in that parallel world, Wanqing had been targeted by Lai Motzi and was murdered one night while making a house call, a beauty fated to die young. Now that heaven has given me a chance to start over, I will never let her suffer the slightest grievance again. Wanqing, I reached out to take her hand. "Don't touch me." She slapped my hand away. "Back then you said divorce and we divorced because you were afraid of dragging us down, right? Do you think I'm an idiot?" She wiped her eyes. "The child is in the next room. Take one look and leave quickly. Don't ever come back again." My nose stung. No matter how much is said, it's better to prove it through actions. Now that I've been reborn and the tide of a new era is about to arrive, I have absolute confidence that I can give my wives and daughters a prosperous life. I pushed open the next room's door and saw 2 children asleep on the kong. My son Little Stone, Wanqing's child, was just over 2 years old, and my 4-year-old daughter Yuan Yuan was born to Jiang Xinyue. There is also the eldest daughter, Pei Pei, whom I had with Qin Yuchan. She is currently back at her maternal grandparents' home with Yuchan to take care of school enrollment. Gazing at the child's tender little face by the moonlight, my heart was full of affection. In my previous life, I was all alone, but in this life I actually have 3 children of my own flesh and blood. You should leave after seeing them. Wanqing urged softly. I knew that anything I said now would be useless, and I was planning to leave first, settle the debts outside, and then reunite with them. Just then, the courtyard gate was pounded so hard it shook the heavens. "Brother Sanshur, I know you're back. It's time to repay the money you owe, isn't it? If you don't, I'll burn down this shabby courtyard of yours." Wanqing's face turned deathly pale. She grabbed my arm and shook her head, then hurriedly pushed open the window. "Hurry and jump out." Looking at my ex-wife, frantic with it, I slowly clenched both hands. Run? Abandon my wife and children again? No. Wanqing froze. Sancher, stop being stubborn. As long as they can't catch you, they can't do anything to us women and children. Tears streamed down her face, yet she still forced herself to push me toward the window. I pulled her into my arms and whispered in her ear, Wanqing, the man of this family is back now. A loud crash came from outside the door, startling barking dogs and crying children. Wanqing quickly held the two children and soothed them softly. I took out a kerosene lamp, lit it, and walked into the courtyard. 3 figures stood in the courtyard, and the one in front was none other than Lai Motzi. These 3 were notorious hoodlums in the production brigade. Yo, isn't this Brother Lei? Haven't seen you for more than half a year. Struck it rich? Lai Motzi said sarcastically. I suppressed my anger with difficulty. Lai Motzi, while I was gone, you all didn't bully my wife and children any less, did you? Brother Lei, that's too distant of you to say. We're brothers. Friends don't mess with a friend's wife. You went out to make big money, and thanks to us brothers helping look after your wives. Otherwise, you'd have been wearing plenty of green hats by now. Stop talking nonsense. It's too late. If there's anything, we'll talk tomorrow. Lai Motzi wore a wicked grin. Zhao Lei, do you really think we're giving you face? The 1,000 yuan you owe must be repaid today. I frowned tightly. 1,000 yuan? Back then I clearly only owed 500. That was the amount from half a year ago. What? No interest? 1,000 yuan was a huge sum in 1978. A strong laborer earned 10 work points a day, equivalent to just a few mao. At most, one could earn 10 yuan a month. Lai Motzi opened his mouth and demanded 1,000 right away. Basically, no one could afford to repay that. You really dare to ask an outrageous price? In our entire brigade, which family could come up with that much money? I don't care. If you don't repay it, I have plenty of ways to make you spit it out. The 2 of them immediately surrounded me. I shrugged, looking completely unconcerned. I'm not someone who refuses to pay a debt either, but I can't come up with 1,000 yuan. Back then, for a debt of 500, I could abandon my wife and children and hide for more than half a year. Do you think I'm afraid of threats? Lai Motzi and the other 2 instantly fell silent. They knew that since I didn't even care about my family, wife, and children, they had no leverage over me at all. A truly invincible person. I seized the chance to speak. Lai Motzi, let's both take a step back. I acknowledge the debt, but I'll only repay 100 yuan. 100 yuan? That's not even enough for a fraction of the interest. Don't be in such a hurry. If you insist on forcing me to repay 1,000, at worst we'll fight, and then I'll keep running away, and you won't get a single cent. Weigh it carefully. The 3 of them stepped aside and discussed it in low voices, and in the end decided to let me repay 100 yuan first. For the sake of our childhood ties, I'll give you 10 days to scrape together the money. If you can't come up with it, we won't be polite. I pretended to look troubled. Fine, but within 10 days you are not allowed to harass my family again, or you won't get a single cent. Lai Motzi nodded. I'll trust you one last time. Suddenly, several dim yellow lights rapidly approached the courtyard from afar, and a sharp female voice rang out. Damn you, Lai Motzi. How dare you touch my man? I recognized her instantly. It was my first ex-wife, Qin Yuchan. 6 figures rushed into the courtyard. At the front, Yuchan wore neat short hair. She was tall, and her ample chest heaved violently as she panted. Sancher, are you okay? If Sister Xinyue hadn't rushed to my mother's family home to bring the news, I wouldn't have known you'd come back. She turned and glared at Lai Motzi. Don't think our Zhao family is easy to bully. Several of my brothers from my mother's side are here today. Just try laying a hand on my man. Jiang Xinyue came in as well. I suddenly felt a headache coming on. With my 3 ex-wives all gathered, I didn't know what to do. Facing the burly strong man, Lai Motzi kept backing away. Fine, Zhao Lei, you win. 10 days, 100 yuan, not a cent less. After saying that, he scurried off in disgrace. Qin Yuchan let out a sigh of relief, planted her hands on her hips, and glared at his retreating figure. Bah, what a piece of trash. Only then did she look me up and down. Are you okay? Warmth filled my heart, and I shook my head. My brother-in-law Qin Dashan came forward with my cousins. He had a body like an iron tower, thick brows and big eyes, and was the militia platoon leader. Suddenly he grabbed my collar. Zhao Lei, you still have the nerve to come back? Brother. Yuchan hurriedly grabbed him. Qin Dashan didn't let go, and spit flew onto my face as he yelled. Where the hell have you been for the past half year? Do you know what kind of life my sister has been living while raising the child? Peipei misses her dad so much she leans on the window every day looking outside. What kind of man are you? At 1.8 meters tall, I was scolded until I couldn't even lift my head. Su Wanqing came out holding little Shirtu, and Yuan followed behind her. Brother Dashan, Brother Sancher was also afraid of dragging us down. Afraid of dragging you down? Stop speaking up for him. If he was really afraid of dragging you down, he shouldn't have gambled in the first place. Jiang Xinyue leaned against the courtyard gate, the lamplight reflecting off her fair face. She said nothing, only looked at me quietly. Yuchan stamped her foot anxiously. Brother, let go. Are you trying to wake up the whole village in the middle of the night? Only then did Qin Dashan let go and shoot me a fierce glare. I'm leaving you some dignity. I straightened my collar and took a deep breath. Brother-in-law, I know I was wrong. In the past, I was a bastard who gambled, got into debt, and ran away. I was no human being. This time, I don't plan to leave again. I'll deal with Lai Mozi's debt myself. And from now on I'll make sure Yuchan, Wanqing, Xinyue, and the children live a good life. What are you going to use to deal with it? I knew saying more was useless. Give me 10 days, and judge by the results. Qin Dashan stared at me for a long while. Yuchan tugged on his sleeve. Brother, trust him one more time. You just keep spoiling him. Qin Dashan shook off his sister's hand in frustration, sighed, and said, let's go back first. Zhao Lei, let me make this clear. If you run away again, I'll be the first to break your legs. After saying that, he left with my cousins. The courtyard fell quiet, with only the night wind making the broken wooden gate creak. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Jiang Xinyue spoke first. When I got off work today, I heard Aunt Wang say Lai Mozi had brought people this way, and she also saw you had come back. Afraid something might happen, I went to find Sister Yuchan. I secretly felt pleased. These ex-wives of mine complain about me with their words, but the moment they hear I'm in danger, they're more anxious than anyone. Wanqing set the child down, and the two children obediently went into the house. Only the four of us were left in the courtyard. Yuchan was the first to lose her composure and punch my shoulder. You bastard. So you still know how to come back. The punch hurt so much that I laughed instead. Where's Pei Pei? At my mother's family home, sleeping with my mother. I was going to bring her back, but I was afraid something might happen on your side, so I rushed over first. I'll go pick her up tomorrow. A family should be together, neat and whole. Wanqing spoke carefully. Brother Sancher, are you really not leaving again? Looking at her reddened eyes, I said solemnly, I'm not leaving. Even if you beat me to death, I'm not leaving. The four of us living a good life together is better than anything. Isn't a warm bed with wife and children the best? From now on, I'll properly feed my wives well and feed the children well too. Tears streamed down Wanqing's face. She turned away and wiped them off carelessly. Then get some rest early. I'll go tuck the children in. She turned and went into the house. Jiang Xinyue softly said, I'll go help Sister Wanqing, and followed her inside too. Only Yuchan and I were left in the yard. Yuchan sniffled and put on a fierce face. You're sleeping in the woodshed tonight. Don't even think about coming into my room. I couldn't help laughing. Fine. If it's the woodshed, then the woodshed it is. She glared at me, turned and took 2 steps, then stopped and asked with her back to me. You didn't go hungry out there, did you? My heart warmed. No, I was fine. That's good. She quickly walked into the house. I stood in the yard and looked up at the sky full of stars. 100 yuan in 10 days was no small sum. Borrowing money from my father-in-law was unrealistic. It would be good enough if he didn't beat me up. The only chance to settle the debt quickly was to rely on the decades of forest ranger experience from my previous life and go hunting in the mountains. Having made up my mind, I finally slipped into Jiang Xinyue's room. This second ex-wife had originally been a rich capitalist family's young lady, pretty and charming. Because her class background was bad, she married me just to survive. She had none of the pampered habits. And with her insight, she was the first in the village to start standardized pig farming, causing the brigade's income to surge. It was just a pity that the credit didn't go to her. That night she coquettishly complained. You just got back and already can't behave? Sister Yuchan told you to sleep in the woodshed. Can you bear to do this? Keep your voice down, they won't hear. Early the next morning, I dug out a dust-covered old bough from a corner of the woodshed. Last night, while galloping along, I racked my brains over how to help this big family live a good life. Working for the production team was too slow. At 10 work points a day, paying off the debt was a distant dream. With the supply and marketing cooperative system as it was now, doing business was fraught with difficulties, and if things went wrong, it could be labeled speculation and profiteering. It wasn't until my gaze fell on Xinyue's rolling hills that I slapped my forehead. After decades of guarding the mountains in my previous life, the mountains were full of treasures. I continued wiping down and sorting out the bow and arrows. The bowstring was a little loose, but that wasn't a big problem. Su Wanqing's clinic was far away, and when she got up early, she noticed that Jiang Xinyue, unusually, was sleeping in. so she silently took over breakfast. Su Wanxing came to get firewood and saw me fiddling with the bow and arrows. Brother Sancher, what are you? Going up the mountain today? Going to raid bird nests and wander around again? You said in front of Brother Dashin yesterday that you'd changed. Wanxing, you've gotten thinner. Yesterday your bones knocked against me so hard it hurt. I still prefer a little meat on you. I'm going to get you all something meaty. When a woman doubts your shortcomings, responding with your strengths works wonders. Sure enough, she remembered yesterday and blushed, her tone softening. Brother Sancher, things haven't been peaceful in the mountains lately. Qin Chonglan, the hunter from the neighboring village, got swiped by a claw and needed 7 or 8 stitches before he was out of danger. I was secretly pleased. My wife still cared about me. I know, I'll be careful. I smiled at her. She took out 2 coarse grain cakes from the kitchen and handed them to me. Take these with you. Don't go hungry. I took them, tucked them into my clothes, and strode out the door. After walking for half an hour to the edge of the woods, dawn was just breaking and the fog was thick. I took a deep breath and focused all my attention on my senses. 20 minutes later, I found traces of pheasant activity. After tracking them for another half hour, I finally heard a pheasant call. I held my breath, knocked an arrow, and drew the bow. Suddenly, a pheasant burst out of the bushes not far away. I spun around and let an arrow whistle out. Smack. The pheasant dropped. The others took flight in alarm, and I reacted quickly, firing 3 more arrows and bringing down 2 more. After picking them up, I continued deeper in. By noon, 6 pheasants were hanging from my waist, so heavy they nearly snapped my belt. Sitting by the creek, I took a couple bites of the coarse grain cakes with water, feeling delighted. 6 pheasants. I had to send 2 to my father-in-law's family for a treat. My eldest daughter, Pei, was still over there, so I could bring her home too. Sell 2 to the supply and marketing cooperative, and the remaining 2 would supplement my wife and children's protein tonight. On the way back to the village, I passed a slope and happened to run into the old hunter Qin Chonglin and a few others. Qin Chonglin was holding a field mouse the size of his palm and boasting, "Prime field mouse. Roasted. It tastes amazing." The few people beside him had empty hands and grim expressions. "Uncle Chonglin, stop showing off. You're lucky enough that you didn't run into a black bear." "Exactly. With black bears around, we don't dare go deep in, and life is getting harder and harder." Qin Chonglin looked up and saw me walking out of the woods, a long string of golden pheasants hanging from my waist. All 3 of them were dumbfounded. Every one of them was fat and glossy, at least 2 or 3 gene each. This. Zhao Lei, you got these? Qin Chonglin's eyes widened. I smiled faintly. Just lucky. Several hunters gathered around, their eyes full of envy. 6 pheasants. I haven't caught that many in a month. Zhao Lei, didn't you run away? When did you come back? Qin Chonglin gave them a glance. All 6 pheasants had been killed with a single arrow, each hit in the neck, chest, or belly, fatal wounds. Lucky? Being able to get close to the prey isn't luck. Lei, you still got the skill. You're no worse than your father was back then. Better, even. I exchanged a few pleasantries and left first, leaving them standing there with faces full of shock and envy. In the end, they gritted their teeth, turned around, and plunged back into the woods. They weren't coming down the mountain today without catching something. All along the way back to the village, the villagers pointed and whispered as soon as they saw me from afar. "Isn't that the Zhao family's boy? How did he come back? Oh my, what's that hanging from his waist? He caught so many pheasants. Didn't this kid run off because he owed Limatzi gambling debts? A gambling addict who abandoned his wife and children still knows to come back. Most likely he couldn't make it outside anymore." Exactly. Such a pity for those 3 good girls. How did they ever fall for him in the first place? Zhao Lei acted as if he heard nothing and kept walking toward his eldest father-in-law's home. Qin Dashin's family land was at the east end of the village, and Zhao Lei saw his brother-in-law bent over weeding in the field from afar. "Brother-in-law." Qin Dashin straightened up. When he saw Zhao Lei, he frowned. "What are you here for?" Zhao Lei walked over, untied the 2 fattest pheasants from his waist, and handed them over. "Brother-in-law, I brought these for you." Qin Dashin froze. He looked at the 2 pheasants, then at Zhao Lei, his expression changing several times. "You caught these?" "Just got them up in the mountains. Every arrow hit its mark. Pretty handsome, huh?" Qin Dashin took the pheasants and weighed them in his hand, unable to stop himself from giving Zhao Lei a few more looks. "Good grief, at least you haven't lost your hunting skills." Qin Dashin's tone obviously softened quite a bit, and he even let out a rare laugh. "Back then, this was exactly what I liked about you. You were steady, hardworking, and strong, so I married my younger sister to you." Zhao Lei scratched his head. "Brother-in-law, I was in the wrong before. From now on, I'll make sure Yuchan and her mother have a good life." Seeing Zhao Lei's change, Qin Dashan was very pleased inside, even though his younger sister and Zhao Lei were already divorced. But this foolish sister of his still seemed determined to be part of the Zhao family, and there was nothing he could do about it. Since Zhao Lei had already changed for the better, as her elder brother, he was sincerely happy for his sister from the bottom of his heart. Qin Dashan sighed and patted Zhao Lei on the shoulder. "All right, it's good that you have this intention. Yuchan just has a hard mouth and a soft heart. Spend more time coaxing her. Pei Pei misses you a lot too." Today, father went to the commune for a meeting, and Pei Pei was taken along with him. "As long as you get past the old man's test, you can bring Pei Pei back." "Hey," Zhao Lei answered and felt all warm inside. After saying goodbye to his brother-in-law, Zhao Lei turned and went to the supply and marketing cooperative. The cooperative was in the commune compound, a mud brick house with a faded sign hanging at the door. Behind the counter sat a chubby, middle-aged man dozing off. Zhao Lei knocked on the counter. "Comrade, do you buy pheasants?" The middle-aged man opened his eyes, and when he saw the two plump pheasants at Zhao Lei's waist, his eyes instantly lit up. Yes, we do. How are you selling them? Name your price." The middle-aged man came around the counter and carefully examined the pheasants. He clicked his tongue in admiration. "Good stuff. And quite fresh too. How about this? Originally, it would be about 2.6 yuan each. Lately, there's been very little mountain produce, so I'll give you 3 yuan each, 6 yuan for both. How about it?" This price wasn't low in 1978. An ordinary worker only made 20 or 30 yuan a month. A gene of pork cost only about 1 yuan. "Okay." Zhao Lei nodded readily. The middle-aged man happily took the pheasants, wet his fingers with saliva, and handed Zhao Lei a stack of bills with both change and whole notes. Zhao Lei took the money and counted it, exactly 6 yuan. Just as he turned to leave, the middle-aged man suddenly lowered his voice and reminded him, "Brother, let me tell you something. Recently, there's been a Xiangxiatzi causing trouble in the mountains. You'd better be careful when hunting. Don't go too deep into the mountains." Zhao Lei stopped in his tracks. "A Xiangxiatzi?" "Exactly. Yesterday, a child from the neighboring village was snatched away by a Xiangxiatzi. Now a life has been lost." The middle-aged man glanced outside and leaned close to Zhao Lei's ear. "Brother, to tell you the truth, a leader came today and is holding a meeting in the compound about this matter. I heard the other production teams have all put out a reward. Whoever can kill that man-eating black bear will get 50 yuan. 50 yuan. Zhao Lei's heart stirred. He touched the 3 yuan in his pocket, then remembered the 100 yuan he still owed Lai Matzi, and quickly began calculating in his head. "Okay, I got it. Thanks, comrade." Zhao Lei nodded, turned, and left the supply and marketing cooperative. Instead of going straight home, Zhao Lei made a turn and headed toward the production team's livestock area. The livestock area was right by the village entrance. There was a row of pig pens with more than a dozen pigs. These were all collective property of the production team. His ex-wife Jiang Xinyue worked here, feeding the pigs and cleaning the pens every day to earn work points. From a distance, Zhao Lei saw Jiang Xinyue squatting by the pig pen. She was wearing a simple floral cloth blouse, yet it still couldn't hide her graceful figure. At that moment, she was pouring pig feed into the stone trough, her movements so deft that one look told you she was experienced. There were several other women nearby too, some carrying water, some chopping pig grass. "Xinyue." Jiang Xinyue looked up and saw Zhao Lei coming, somewhat surprised. "What are you doing here?" Zhao Lei pulled 6 yuan out of his pocket and stuffed it into Jiang Xinyue's hand. "The money from selling the pheasants today. Take it." Jiang Xinyue still hadn't quite reacted. But Zhao Lei didn't bother with that and directly took over the work in her hands, helping feed the pigs. "What are you standing there for? You're the chief financial officer of our family. Isn't it only right that I hand over the money I earned to you?" Jiang Xinyue had originally been a rich young lady from a capitalist family in the city, unmatched in knowledge and experience. After some discussion, the ex-wives unanimously agreed to let Jiang Xinyue take charge of managing the family's income and expenses. Jiang Xinyue also lived up to expectations, managing the household money in perfect order, knowing what should be spent and what shouldn't. If she hadn't stretched every penny as if it were two, during the more than half year Zhao Lei was away, the family would only have had an even harder time. So after Zhao Lei earned money, the first thing he thought of was turning it over to the finance manager. At this moment, the several women nearby also noticed the scene. When they saw the wad of money in Jiang Xinyue's hand, their eyes nearly popped out. 6 yuan. Their own men worked themselves to death for a whole month and only earned a little over 10 yuan. Yet Zhao Lei had made this much money on his very first day back. Oh my, Xinhua, has your man made a fortune out there? Exactly, exactly. Lei, have you struck it rich out there? Xinhua, you're really blessed. Even after the divorce, Zhao Lei still handed financial control over to you. Jiang Xinhua blushed at their teasing. Zhao Lei looked at the pretty woman before him. Her face flushed red and beaded with sweat, and foolishly grinned for no reason. My wife is so beautiful. Is something wrong with me? Why did I divorce such a wonderful wife? This former rich young lady, who once never lifted a finger, had married him and now was squatting by the pig pen feeding pigs, her hands covered in calluses and cuts from chopping pig grass. Seeing Jiang Xinyue's hands, Zhao Lei felt heartbroken again for quite a while. His resolve to give them a good life grew even stronger. I'll head back first and stew chicken soup for you tonight. Zhao Lei dangled the other 2 pheasants in front of Jiang Xinyue and gave them a little shake. After saying that, he turned and left. Behind him, several women from the pig farm were still chattering away, pressing Jiang Xinyue with questions. Jiang Xinyue raised her head and looked at Zhao Lei's receding figure, tears glistening in her eyes. Then she lowered her head again and carefully folded the stack of money, tucking it close against her chest. Has he really changed for the better? Carrying the 2 pheasants, Zhao Lei's steps home felt much lighter, and before long he arrived. Before he even entered the courtyard, he heard the children's giggles coming from inside. Sister Yuan, doggy. Doesn't look like a puppy, looks like a little pig. Hurrah! Zhao Lei pushed open the courtyard gate and saw his second daughter, Yuan, leading her little brother Xiao Shitu as they squatted in the mud playing with it. The 2 little ones had mud all over their faces, hands, and clothes, looking just like 2 little tabby cats. 4-year-old Yuan wore her hair in 2 little buns and was seriously shaping something out of mud. 2-year-old Xiao Shitu sat off to the side, clutching a lump of mud in his hand and stuffing it into his mouth. Hey, Xiao Shitu, you can't eat mud. Zhao Lei rushed over and snatched the mud from his son's hand. Xiao Shitu froze for a moment. Then his mouth puckered and he was about to cry. Yuan looked up, saw Zhao Lei, and her eyes immediately lit up. Daddy's back. Zhao Lei bent down, picked up his daughter, and kissed her on the cheek. Hey, does my good girl miss Daddy? Yes. Yuan wrapped her arms around Zhao Lei's neck, smearing his neck with yellow mud. Seeing his sister being carried, Xiao Shitu stretched out his 2 muddy little hands and climbed onto Zhao Lei's leg. Up. Zhao Lei freed one hand and scooped up his son too, holding one child in each arm. With both a son and a daughter, he was full of happiness. My little treasures, look what Daddy brought home. After teasing the children a bit, Zhao Lei set the 2 kids down and shook the pheasants hanging at his waist. Only then did Yuan notice what her father was carrying. She stared wide-eyed for several seconds, then suddenly cried out excitedly. Chicken! It's a chicken! Such a pretty big pheasant! Xiao Shitu also parroted her. Chicken! Zhao Lei was so amused by the 2 little ones that he burst out laughing. That's right, it's a pheasant. Daddy will stew chicken soup for you tonight, okay? Really? Of course it's true. When has Daddy ever lied to you? Yuan counted on her fingers, pouted, and said, but some aunties often say Daddy is a big liar. Zhao Lei was speechless. Hey, how are these women teaching children? Am I really that awful in their eyes? They're even teaching my own kids wrong. Tonight, I need to properly deal with them. Daddy, Yuan hasn't eaten meat for a really long time. Xiao Shitu didn't understand what a really long time meant. But when he heard his sister say meat, he started shouting too. Meat. Zhao Lei felt a pang of heartache. He lowered his head and took a careful look at his daughter's little face. Her little face was thin, with a pointed chin, cute and pretty like a child version of Jiang Xinyue. There was no need to guess. When she grew up, she would definitely be a stunning beauty just like her mother. However, at the moment, her little face, which should have been fair and tender, instead had a sallow complexion. Her hair was yellowish too, thin and soft, sticking to her forehead without the slightest shine. She was clearly not getting enough nutrition. Zhao Lei's nose stung, and he almost couldn't hold it together. What on earth had he, as their father, been doing before? With 2 children at home, they couldn't even get a bite of meat. Yuan, from now on Daddy will make meat for you every day, okay? Okay. Daddy, Yuan wants to eat chicken drumsticks. Big drumsticks. Sure, big drumsticks for you. Little Stone gets one too. When Little Stone heard his name, he grinned, revealing a few tiny baby teeth. Zhao Lei squatted down and patted the 2 children on the head, then casually pulled the 2 prettiest feathers from the wild chicken, one golden and gleaming, the other with a green iridescent sheen. Here, take them and play. Yuan took the feathers and held them up before her eyes, looking them over again and again, so happy that she spun in circles. So pretty. Yuan, tonight Daddy will make you a shuttlecock with chicken feathers. Then you can play shuttlecock with your little friends. A chicken feather shuttlecock? Yuan tilted her head and thought for a moment. You mean the kind Chui and the others kick? The colorful kind, the really pretty kind? Yes, that kind. That's great. Daddy, you're so nice. Yuan threw herself over and hugged Zhao Lei's leg. Zhao Lei smiled and patted her. Be good. Take your little brother and play in the yard. Don't run outside, and don't play with mud anymore. If your hands get dirty, how will you gnaw on chicken drumsticks later? Got it. Yuan nodded obediently, then turned and took Little Stone's hand. Come on, little brother, let's go play with the feathers over there. No more playing with mud. Led by his sister, Little Stone walked away, turning his head back every few steps. Zhao Lei stood up, carried the 2 wild chickens into the kitchen, and hung them on the hook in the roof beam. The kitchen was kept fairly clean, with the pots, bowls, ladles, and basins arranged neatly. There was a pot of leftover porridge on the stove, but it was so thin you could see your reflection in it. Zhao Lei felt another pang of sorrow when he saw it. Turning and walking out of the kitchen, he looked around but didn't see Qin Yuchan anywhere, so he asked his daughter, Yuan, where's your big mom? Yuan was squatting on the ground, teasing her little brother with a feather. Big Mom went to Dashiba to haul dry firewood. Dashiba? Which Dashiba? The Dashiba behind the village. Lots of grandpas and grandmas chop firewood there. All right, Daddy's going to find Big Mom. You two stay home and behave. Don't open the door for strangers. Got it. Yuan waved her hand like a little grown-up. Daddy, hurry and go. I'll watch little brother. Zhao Lei walked out of the courtyard gate toward the back of the village, passing quite a few elderly villagers along the way. As for the young people and able-bodied adults, most of them were doing collective labor to earn work points. Oh, Lazy, you're back? I'm back. Where are you headed? Going to Dashiba to find Yuchan. You're already divorced, so why are you still pestering her? Are you two really divorced or not? None of your business. Old lady, you'd better mind your own affairs. Hey, brat, third Granny Zhang is just concerned about you. Granny Zhang, I'm still single right now. Your granddaughter isn't married yet, is she? If you really care about me, introduce Tingting to me. I've got plenty of marriage experience, way more than those young guys who've never been married. You brat, you want a 4th marriage? Get lost, get lost, get lost. Don't even think about bringing trouble to my Tingting. That's such old-fashioned thinking. Free love isn't against the law. When Tingting comes back from the city, remember to tell me. Maybe in the future, I'll even support you in your old age. Brat, get lost. Do I need you to support me in my old age? Faced with the teasing of the fellow villagers and neighbors, the old Zhao Lei would have chosen to endure it and keep his head down. But the Zhao Lei of now wouldn't take that kind of insult. He was going to talk back. If he didn't put these gossiping old women in their place, they would only say more and more outrageous things. It was one thing when they talked about him, but his several ex-wives had had a hard time these past years. As the saying goes, words can be fearsome, and they had endured plenty of sneers and cold looks. After snapping back at several elders in a row, he realized before he knew it that he could already see Dashiba. Dashiba was behind the village, a relatively flat natural stone slope with open terrain and plenty of sunshine. During the harvest season, this was the threshing ground and grain-drying yard. Usually, the villagers liked to stack the firewood they gathered here to dry in the sun, then drag it home to burn once it was completely dry. In 1978, there was no natural gas in the countryside, and no one even used gas cylinders. Every household cooked on wood-burning stoves. Firewood was a highly sought-after fuel source. It was very different from the 21st century, when deadwood and branches could be found everywhere. Forget dead branches by the roadside. Even the leaves would be scraped clean by people. So quite a few people would go into the mountains and woods to find branches and trunks from trees that would dry quickly, drag them home, and stack them in open spaces to dry. Most of the villagers were simple and honest. As long as a patch of open ground had been taken over by someone to stack firewood, everyone understood without saying it and wouldn't casually drag away someone else's wood. But there were always exceptions. A loafer like Lai Matzi didn't care about any rules. These days, it wasn't as if firewood theft never happened. As Zhao Lei walked, he thought that in the future he needed to hunt more game to exchange for money, and just buy coal briquettes to burn, so the women wouldn't have to work themselves to death chopping wood. After walking for about 10 minutes, he arrived at Dashiba. From a distance, the stone slope was full of busy figures. There were old people, women, and half-grown girls and boys. Some were chopping wood, some were splitting it, and some were stacking it into piles and loading it into carrying baskets, getting ready to take it home. Crack, crack. The sound of chopping wood rose and fell one after another, mixed with people's voices. As Zhao Lei drew near, he spotted Qin Yuchan at a glance. It couldn't be helped. She was too eye-catching. Qin Yuchan was bent over, swinging a chopper as she hacked at a thick branch. Today she was wearing a floral cloth shirt, already soaked through with sweat, clinging tightly to her body. Her full, rounded figure was extremely striking. Zhao Lei's Adam's apple bobbed, full and hot, curved where she should curve and lifted where she should lift. The floral shirt had darkened where it was stained with sweat, tightly outlining all her curves, especially in the way she bent over to chop wood, with her big but sticking up high whenever she exerted herself. That part would tense into a round, plump shape and bounce along with the chopping motion. Her whole body glistened with sweat in the sunlight. The wisps of hair on her forehead damply stuck to her face, and her face was flushed red as well. Zhao Lei stared until his eyes went straight. Unable to hold back, Zhao Lei crept over softly. A few elders chopping wood nearby saw him and were just about to greet him, when Zhao Lei quickly raised a finger to his lips and shushed them. The elders understood, smiled and shook their heads, and went back to their own work. Qin Yuchan was so focused on chopping that she hadn't noticed anyone behind her at all. She swung up the chopper and brought it down with a crack, and the branch split in response, while her full body also gave a sharp shudder. Zhao Lei walked up behind her and looked at the part she had stuck up so high. Then, as if possessed, reached out his hand, smack. He slapped it with one palm. It felt firm and springy, and the jolt was intense. Qin Yuchan was so startled that she jerked violently, and her whole body sprang up at once. Which bastard has a death wish? With a furious roar, she turned around holding the hatchet, ready to chop. She looked ferocious, just like a tigress descending the mountain. Zhao Lei quickly jumped back. No, no, no. It's me. It's me. Qin Yuchan held the hatchet up in midair, and only then did she see clearly that it was her own man. She froze for a moment. Then her face turned red with anger as she kicked at him. Are you trying to get yourself killed? You scared the hell out of me. Zhao Lei dodged with a grin. I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. You're just too tempting. Tempting my ass. Qin Yuchan stabbed the hatchet into the wood and patted her chest to calm herself down. I thought it was some blind, good-for-nothing punk. At this moment, Qin Yuchan's chest was heaving fiercely, and her floral shirt was almost bursting at the seams. If there weren't people around, Zhao Lei would have wanted to head into the woods. Qin Yuchan noticed Zhao Lei's gaze and slapped him on the shoulder. What are you looking at? Don't want your eyes anymore? Can't I look at my own wife? Zhao Lei said with a cheeky grin. Who's your wife? Divorced. Even divorced, you're still my wife. Qin Yuchan rolled her eyes at him and bent down to keep chopping firewood. Don't get in the way here. Go off to the side. By the way, where were you wandering off to so early in the morning? When I got up, you were nowhere to be seen. Wasn't wandering, went hunting. Hunting? Qin Yuchan let out a scornful laugh. You? Hunting? Zhao Lei didn't get annoyed either. Really, if you don't believe me, go home and look. There are 2 pheasants hanging from the kitchen beam. Qin Yuchan's movements paused, and she turned her head to look at him suspiciously. Really? Why would I lie to you? I went up the mountain and caught them myself, 1 arrow for each. Handsome or what? Qin Yuchan snorted. Oh, just keep bragging. Hunting? When have you ever come back with anything but empty hands before? You'd just dig out a few bird eggs and call that good enough. And you still have the nerve to call it hunting. That was before. I'm different now. As Zhao Lei spoke, he snatched the hatchet from Qin Yuchan's hand, taking over the chore of chopping firewood. What's different? You're still just 2 legs and 1 mouth. Qin Yuchan was a little surprised to see Zhao Lei taking the initiative to work. Yesterday, right in front of my big brother, you said it all so nicely. And today you ran off into the mountains to fool around. What if you ran into a bear? Then what would the kids do? Halfway through, Qin Yuchan suddenly changed her wording. Zhao Lei caught it, and his heart warmed. His wife with the sharp tongue and soft heart was just like his father-in-law. Never let people off verbally, yet quietly helped out behind the scenes. How come I feel like even when you curse at me, it sounds so nice? Zhao Lei couldn't help wondering if he had some kind of tendency, because he simply couldn't get angry at Qin Yuchan's hitting and scolding. Zhao Lei pulled over the back basket and loaded the chopped firewood into it. Your man is blessed by great fortune. I'll be fine. I went into the woods once and got 6 pheasants, sold 2 to the supply and marketing cooperative, gave 2 to my brother-in-law too, and there are still 2 left at home. Tonight I'll stew chicken soup for you and the kids so you can build yourselves up. Really? If not steamed, then boiled. You didn't lie to me? If I lied to you, I'm a puppy. Woof, woof, woof. Qin Yuchan burst out laughing, then forcibly held it back. Get lost. Quit being such a slick talker here. Zhao Lei stood up and rolled up his sleeves. You rest a bit. I'll do it. Has the sun risen in the west? You actually know to take the initiative to work now? I'm your man. If I don't do it, who will? I'll split the firewood first. Tonight, can you let me do it? Zhao Lei snatched the hatchet and took Qin Yuchan's place, swinging his arm and chopping away. Qin Yuchan only understood a moment later and kicked at him. You damned bastard. So that's what you're plotting again, huh? So that's why you've suddenly become so attentive for no reason. Zhao Lei didn't get mad either. He patted the footprint on his butt and kept chopping firewood with extra effort. Humph. No objection means yes. I refuse to believe you don't want it. Just wait till tonight when I shut your mouth and see if you still dare talk about me. Qin Yuchan stood to the side, her gaze drifting as she watched her man working. He really does seem different this time. No, don't get fooled by him again and again and again. My brother is the captain of the militia, and even with a homemade hunting gun, he often comes back empty-handed from the mountains. Sancher doesn't even have a gun, so where would he get 6 pheasants? He even said he gave my brother 2 of them. I'll know tomorrow when I ask him whether it's true or not. If he's lying to me. Zhao Lei didn't know what Qin Yuchan was thinking. He just kept swinging the chopper, strike after strike. Crack. The blade split into the trunk, sending wood chips flying everywhere. Their family had 3 large logs piled on the stone drying ground, all thick pine and oak. It was originally enough for Qin Yuchan to chop for several days. But who was Zhao Lei? In his previous life, he had guarded the mountains for decades. A job like chopping firewood was something he could do with his eyes closed. He found the grain, then brought the blade down along the split, saving both time and effort. One log was neatly chopped into tidy sections of firewood in no time at all. Qin Yuchan had originally been worried that he was just showing off blindly, but after standing there and watching for a while, she realized this damn man really did have some skills. He was even more efficient than she was, and she worked year-round. Well, you really can chop after all. Of course I can. Zhao Lei wiped away his sweat and flashed her a grin. Don't you know your man's strengths and lengths? I've got plenty of skills. There are plenty of good days ahead. Huh, who cares to know your lengths? Qin Yuchan rolled her eyes at him, turned around, took out a coarse pottery bowl from the basket, poured a bowl of cooled boiled water, and handed it over. Have some water, don't get heat stroke. Zhao Lei took the bowl and gulped down 2 big mouthfuls. After drinking it, his whole body felt much more comfortable. Another bowl. Pour it yourself. Do you really think you're some lord? That was what Qin Yuchan said, but her hand had already taken the bowl and poured him another one. After Zhao Lei finished drinking, he went back to chopping firewood. Qin Yuchan stood to the side and watched for a while, then took out the neatly folded coarse cloth handkerchief from her bosom and stood on tiptoe to wipe the sweat from his forehead. Zhao Lei felt that rough yet gentle hand, and his heart was sweet with happiness, making him chop with even more vigor. Several women nearby were busy in front of their own firewood piles. When they saw this scene, they couldn't help coming over to chat. Yuchan, your Lei today is really putting in the muscle. Aren't these 3 big logs enough to keep you sisters chopping for several days? Qin Yuchan, exactly. I've been worrying about them for days. There's almost no firewood left for the stove at home, but it still had to be done. Now it's different. Having a man in the house really does make a difference. Exactly. The work Lei has done this whole afternoon is enough for you mother and daughter to use for half a month. That's right, that's right. Yuchan, you're really lucky. Even after the divorce, your man is still so hardworking. Qin Yuchan felt a little embarrassed by what they said, but her mouth was still sharp. Hardworking? If he didn't know a mountain of debt, would he be this well-behaved? Zhao Lei heard it and didn't get annoyed. Instead, he smiled and replied, Sister-in-law is right. I'm just afraid you'll drive me out, so I'm behaving myself and making a good show of it. The women were all amused and burst into laughter. Qin Yuchan also couldn't help pursing her lips in a smile, but she quickly put on a stern face again. Cut the chatter and get back to work. It's getting dark. Alrighty. Zhao Lei answered and lowered his head to keep chopping. Qin Yuchan was rarely this free, so she stood to the side and chatted on and off with the women. She is usually very busy, having to teach classes, do housework, take care of the children, and still find time to earn work points. It's rare for her to have a moment like this, standing around chatting without having to work. Yuchan, has your school been busy lately? One of the women asked. It's been all right. Final exams are coming up soon, and the children are all reviewing. Your Pei is starting 1st grade in the second half of the year, right? Yes, she'll start when school begins in September. Speaking of her eldest daughter, a motherly smile appeared on Qin Yuchan's face. That girl talks every day about wanting to go to school. She's very enthusiastic. Fortunately, the child takes after you. She'll definitely get into college in the future. Qin Yuchan smiled, then suddenly thought of something. By the way, do you know the Wang Shoshan family from the Sun production team? The women exchanged glances, and their expressions changed. Of course we know them. How could we not? One woman suddenly lowered her voice. Are you asking about that child Xiaofeng? I heard from my man that something happened to the child yesterday. Qin Yuchan frowned. What happened? What was it? I was wondering why the child didn't come to school yesterday. You still don't know? The woman sighed. It was yesterday morning, when the child was taking the mountain path to school. She was dragged away by a black bear. What? Qin Yuchan's eyes widened. That can't be possible, right? Xiaofeng is my student. How could she? It's true. Another woman picked up the conversation. The news spread this morning. The commune was in an uproar. They said they searched for a whole day and night and only found her shoes and the black bear's tracks. In an instant, Qin Yuchan's face turned deathly pale. Yesterday was Friday, and Xiaofeng indeed didn't come to class. She even asked a student next door to take a message back, asking whether something had happened at home. She had originally planned to go on a home visit today, Saturday, to ask about the situation, but as it happened, there was no firewood left at home, and she also had to take care of the children. So she could only think of going tomorrow, Sunday. She never expected that this would be the result. Is it confirmed to be Xiaofeng? Could there be some mistake? Sigh. It probably can't be wrong. Anyway, the child still hasn't been found to this moment. So pitiful, just a 9-year-old little girl. Only 1 year older than your Pei. Qin Yuchan could no longer continue the conversation. She turned and walked to one side, her back to everyone. No one knew what she was thinking. Over on Zhao Lei's side, he quickly split all the remaining firewood and stacked it neatly. Then he loaded 2 back baskets, one large and one small, preparing to take them home. Zhao Lei packed his basket completely full, so heavy that the bamboo strips were bent out of shape. Let's go, time to head home. Zhao Lei brushed the wood shavings off his hands and walked over to Qin Yuchan. Qin Yuchan came back to her senses, glanced at him, and nodded. The two of them each picked up a back basket and headed home. Zhao Lei noticed that Qin Yuchan hadn't said a single word the whole way. This was very unusual. Usually, that mouth of hers never stopped, always either scolding this or complaining about that, chirping away like a sparrow. But now, walking with her head down and her lips pressed tightly together, she seemed very strange. Zhao Lei held it in the whole way, but finally couldn't help himself. What's wrong? Why did you suddenly stop talking? You're not even happy about going home to eat pheasant meat today? Qin Yuchan's eyes suddenly lit up. Right. When you were hunting in the mountains, did you happen to see any trace of a child? Trace of a child? What do you mean? I mean, did you see a child's shoes, clothes, or something else? Zhao Lei thought carefully for a moment and shook his head. No, I didn't go very deep today, and I didn't see anything unusual. Qin Yuchan gave an "oh" and fell silent again. Zhao Lei found it strange, but didn't press further. The two of them returned home in silence. In the courtyard, Yuan was drawing on the ground with little stone, using a tree branch to make crooked little circles. Dad, Big Mom. Seeing the two of them return, Yuan happily ran over. Little Stone also tottered along behind them. Zhao Lei set down the basket, picked up his son, and kissed him on the cheek. Was Little Stone good? Good. Little Stone responded in a babyish voice. Qin Yuchan also set down her basket and glanced at the two children, obviously absent-minded. Then she walked to the kitchen door, looked up and saw the 2 plump pheasants hanging from the beam, but showed no particular delight, then turned and went to tidy up the firewood. Zhao Lei noticed it and felt even more puzzled. But he didn't ask any more questions. He rolled up his sleeves and started making dinner. 2 pheasants. He planned to stew one for soup and braise the other. In these times, cooking oil was scarce, and people were reluctant to use much oil when cooking. But pheasants were fatty by nature, with a layer of golden yellow fat inside the belly, enough to cook with. You all are in for a treat today. I'll cook something delicious for you myself. In the kitchen, Zhao Lei kept busy boiling water to pluck the feathers and gutting the birds. He didn't throw away the giblets and innards either. Once cleaned, they would make a rare delicacy when stir-fried. He chopped the chicken into pieces, put it into the pot with cold water, brought it to a boil over high heat, and skimmed off the foam. There weren't many seasonings at home, only salt, a few peppercorns, and a small handful of dried chilies. Zhao Lei let out a long sigh. Before his rebirth, he had been an old bachelor living on welfare. Even though he was old and couldn't earn much money, he still never lacked food, clothing, or shelter. Now, despite the household being full of young and able-bodied men and women, they still lived in straitened circumstances. Only then did he truly and vividly feel the change brought by the country's strength. In just a little over 20 years, it had gone from poverty to a time when everyone had enough to eat and drink. But that was fine too. The wheels of the times were about to start turning. With the knowledge and insight brought by his rebirth, he was bound to accomplish something in this life. Zhao Lei pulled his thoughts back and continued cooking. Pheasant was delicious to begin with, so the lack of seasonings wasn't much of a problem. If anything, it better brought out the original flavor of the game. The firewood he had chopped today made the fire in the stove burn fiercely, casting a rosy glow across Zhao Lei's face. He washed a few potatoes as well and cut them into large chunks. After the chicken had simmered for half an hour, he added the potatoes and let them braise together. Before long, the potatoes had soaked up the chicken broth. Zhao Lei took a bite and found them soft, waxy, and full of flavor, seemingly even more fragrant than the meat. Gradually, a rich meaty aroma drifted out of the kitchen. The smell was so strong and rich it seemed almost tangible, floating out through the doors and windows into the yard. Yuan was outside playing with her little brother when she suddenly sniffed hard. "It smells so good." Little Stone copied her, sniffing too. "Smells good." Yuan pulled her brother to the kitchen door and craned her neck to peek inside. "Daddy, is the chicken soup ready?" Almost. Just wait a little longer." But it smelled so good to Yuan that her stomach was already growling. Yuan rubbed her belly, looking pitiful. Zhao Lei was amused by her and fished a small piece of chicken out of the pot, blew on it again and again, and popped it into his daughter's mouth. "Taste it and see if it's salty enough." Yuan chewed twice, and her eyes immediately lit up. "Delicious. Daddy, the meat is so yummy." Seeing this, Little Stone also stepped forward and stretched out his little hand. I want some. Zhao Lei fished out another small piece, blew it cool, and fed it to his son. Little Stone smacked his lips and chewed for a long time, his mouth glistening with oil. By the time dinner was served, it was already completely dark. The main room of the mud brick house was very simple. There was only an old square wooden table, a kerosene lamp, and a few long wooden benches polished shiny with use. On the table, there was now an extra large basin of chicken soup placed in the middle. Golden chicken fat floated on the surface of the soup, its aroma wafting through the air. There was a large bowl of braised chicken chunks with potatoes, a plate of stir-fried chicken giblets with dried chili peppers and garlic sprouts, spicy and appetizing, and another plate of pickled radish strips, sour, crisp, and refreshing. The dishes were not particularly abundant, but in this era, it was comparable to a New Year's feast. There were no rice cookers. These days, every household cooked over firewood. Su Wanqing had just returned from the clinic. As soon as she stepped in, she smelled the aroma and exclaimed, "What are we having today? It smells so good." "Pheasant," Yuan answered eagerly. Dad caught a pheasant. Su Wanqing changed into her liberation shoes and walked in. Seeing the dishes on the table, she revealed a rare smile. "You really did catch a pheasant when you went up the mountain today?" "Of course. Since when has your man ever lied to you?" Zhao Lei raised his eyebrows proudly. "Go wash your hands. We'll eat when Xinyue gets back." Before long, Jiang Xinyue, exhausted all over, also returned home through the night. Jiang Xinyue had long known that Zhao Lei had caught 6 pheasants today and had a bountiful haul, so she was not surprised. But when she smelled the long-absent aroma of meat, she still couldn't help swallowing. It had already been a long time since she had eaten meat. Jiang Xinyue murmured, and a sudden wave of bitterness welled up in her eyes. Her family background was bad. She came from a big capitalist family that had been publicly denounced, and precisely because of that, she had been pampered at home since childhood and had meat with nearly every meal. When she was little, she had even once grown tired of eating meat. Until, after the whole family was sent down for labor and re-education. Only then did she realize what a heavenly life she had lived before. Jiang Xinyue suddenly looked at her daughter, who was leaning against the edge of the table. Her daughter, Zhao Yiyuan, was staring eagerly at the meat on the table, her little nose still greedily sniffing the aroma of the meat. It was just hard on Yuan. Jiang Xinyue had already resigned herself to the difficult life they lived now. But every time she saw her daughter suffering through hard days with her, she felt regret and heartache. Zhao Lei quickly called the whole family to gather around for dinner. The whole family sat around the square table, 6 people in total. Right now, only the eldest daughter, Zhao Yupei, was missing, and then the family would be complete. Yuchan, when can Pei come home?" Zhao Lei asked twice before Qin Yuchan came to her senses. Pei is at my parents' home." The old man missed his granddaughter, so we let her stay there for a few days. Dad, Moms, when are we going to eat? Little Yuan was getting a bit impatient. Only then did Zhao Lei wave his hand. All right, let's eat then. Zhao Lei first put a big drumstick into Yuan's bowl. Here, this big drumstick is for Yuan. Then he put another one into Little Stone's bowl. Little Stone gets one too. The two children immediately hug their drumsticks and gnawed on them happily, their mouths shining with grease and their faces beaming with delight. Zhao Lei then picked out several good pieces of meat for each of the three women. Jiang Xinyue took the bowl and softly said thank you, lowering her head to eat slowly. Qin Yuchan held her bowl, eating absent-mindedly, poking around in the bowl with her chopsticks for a long time and taking only a few bites. Su Wanqing was the same. Even with such delicious food before her, she seemed to have no appetite and put down her chopsticks after only 2 pieces. Zhao Lei noticed it and found it increasingly strange. Just as he was about to ask, Jiang Xinyue suddenly put down her chopsticks, took out a small cloth bundle from her bosom, and opened it to reveal a stack of money inside. These are the 6 yuan censure made today from selling the pheasants. I've entered it in the accounts. Jiang Xinyue placed the money on the table and turned to look at Qin Yuchan. Sister Yuchan, the children need some new clothes at home. Little Shirtu is still wearing Yuan's old clothes. After all, it's not very appropriate for him to wear girls' clothes. Take out 3 yuan, sister, and buy a few feet of cloth for the children. Qin Yuchan came back to her senses, looked at the money on the table, and nodded. All right, I'll go to the supply and marketing cooperative tomorrow and take a look. Jiang Xinyue then looked at Zhao Lei again. I'll save the remaining 3 yuan. Pei will start elementary school in September in the second half of the year, so the enrollment fee has to be prepared in advance. Zhao Lei nodded repeatedly. As it should be, as it should be. As long as the 4 of us live our lives well, that's better than anything. A faint smile appeared on Jiang Xinyue's face, and she unusually said a few more words. You caught 6 pheasants today, that's a good start. If you can go up the mountain regularly in the future, the money you earn each month won't be less than what you earn in work points. After working for a few more months and paying off the debt owed to Lai Motzi, our family's life will get easier. Listening to this, Qin Yuchan finally showed a trace of a genuine smile. Xinyue is right. Sanshur, if you really can change for the better, then this family of ours will have hope. Su Wanqing also nodded gently, hoping you're not just a flash in the pan. Don't let us be disappointed again. The first ex-wife, Qin Yuchan, is a teacher at Tuanjia Township Primary School. The second ex-wife, Jiang Xinyue, is a technician at the breeding farm who is diligent and thrifty in managing the household. The third ex-wife, Su Wanqing, is a doctor at the production brigade clinic. All 3 ex-wives are outstanding among women, and the wages and work points they earn are more than those of most men. Logically, this family should be considered relatively well off. But the original owner was disappointingly useless, lazy, gluttonous, and addicted to gambling, which made the whole family unable to make ends meet. As long as Zhao Lei can shoulder the main burden of supporting the family, the future of the whole household will be very promising. Zhao Lei felt warm inside and picked up his bowl, shoveling in a big mouthful of rice. Don't worry, I'll definitely let you live a good life. The family ate under the kerosene lamp, and although each had their own thoughts, the atmosphere was much warmer than before. After dinner, Su Wanqing took the initiative to stand up and clear the bowls and chopsticks. I'll go wash the dishes. Qin Yuchan wanted to take over, but Su Wanqing stopped her. Sister Yuchan, you should rest. You've been tired from chopping firewood all day today. Su Wanqing carried the bowls and chopsticks to the kitchen. Zhao Lei took a few pheasant feathers out of his bosom, then found a pair of scissors and a ball of thread, and sat under the kerosene lamp to start making a shuttlecock. Yuan squatted beside him, staring without blinking. Dad, are you making a shuttlecock? Yes, the feather shuttlecock I promised you. Zhao Lei fiddled with it for quite a while, but still couldn't get it right. And in the end, Qin Yuchan couldn't stand it anymore and snatched it away. What would a rough man like you know about needlework? Give it to me. Qin Yuchan first wrapped the copper coin in cloth, then inserted the feathers one by one into the quill and bound them tightly with thread. Several golden pheasant feathers put together looked beautiful. Yuan's eyes lit up as she watched. So pretty. Big Mom, you're amazing. Qin Yuchan smiled and patted her head. Tomorrow you can take it out and play with your little friends. The family sat together in the main room, the light of the kerosene lamp casting swaying shadows on the earthen wall. What happened to you two today? Zhao Lei couldn't help asking. Each one of you looks like you've lost your soul. Qin Yuchan said nothing. Su Wanqing was busy in the kitchen and couldn't hear. Yuchan, what exactly is wrong? You've been frowning ever since we got back from Dashi Dam. Qin Yuchan's lips moved, just about to say something, when Su Wanqing returned after washing the dishes and walked into the main room, drying her hands. Wanqing, come sit down too. I think both of you have seemed off today. Are you hiding something from me? Su Wanqing and Qin Yuchan exchanged a glance. As if sensing something, the two seemed to be worrying about the same thing. In the end, Su Wanqing sighed. Here's the situation. Today at the clinic, I heard that in the neighboring Sun production team, a 9-year-old girl was taken away by a black bear and has been missing for 2 days and 1 night. Zhao Lei's hands paused. Qin Yuchan suddenly turned her head. Wanqing, is the child's name Wang Xiaofeng? Su Wanqing, you know her? She is my student. At once, the main room became so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Only the flame of the kerosene lamp crackled. Little Shirtu had already fallen asleep in Jiang Xinyue's arms, breathing evenly. Jiang Xinyue realized something was wrong and immediately took the 2 children to the room to sleep. Only after hearing this news did Zhao Lei finally understand. No wonder Qin Yuchan had suddenly been acting strange today. It seemed she had most likely heard the news at Dashiba. Qin Yuchan murmured, Wang Xiaofeng is a very sensible little girl. She wears her hair in 2 braids, and she studies very diligently too. She even placed 3rd on the last exam. Su Wanqing, also a mother herself, felt saddened by the little girl's death. She just hadn't expected the little girl to have this connection with Sister Yuchan. Presumably Sister Yuchan must feel even worse. Realizing Qin Yuchan was in low spirits, Su Wanqing stepped forward and took her hand. Sister Yuchan, don't be too sad. How can I not be sad? She's my student. As she spoke, Qin Yuchan's eyes reddened. She didn't come to class yesterday. I should have gone for a home visit that very day. If I had gone, maybe I could have gotten everyone to take it seriously sooner. Maybe we could have found him earlier. Don't think that way. Zhao Lei put down the shuttlecock in his hand, his voice turning grave. It would have been useless even if you had gone. It was a black bear. What could you, a woman, have done? Qin Yuchan suddenly stood up. No, I have to go to the Sun production team and visit Xiaofeng's home. Now, Zhao Lei looked outside. The sky was already completely dark. In this era, clocks and wall clocks were relatively rare, let alone wristwatches and mobile phones to check the time. There was a wall clock in Zhao Lei's house, but it had long stopped because there was no electricity. Buying a Huocha brand battery was also a very extravagant and troublesome matter, so they simply stopped using it. Although there was no clock, everyone could roughly estimate the time, so it didn't affect daily affairs. It was probably around 9 o'clock now, and in the rural countryside, most people would already be asleep. It's so late, and the road is hard to walk. What can you do if you go? Besides, if there really is a black bear, it would be even more dangerous. But, go tomorrow. Zhao Lei's tone left no room for discussion. I'll go with you first thing tomorrow morning. If you go now, it'll be pitch dark. What if you run into it on the way? Qin Yuchan wanted to argue, but after looking at the pitch-black darkness outside, she ultimately sat back down. Su Wanqing gently patted the back of her hand. Sister Yuchan, Brother Sanshur is right. Let's all go together first thing tomorrow morning. Qin Yuchan said nothing more and lowered her head as tears silently fell. Just then, a burst of footsteps suddenly came from outside the courtyard gate, along with a clear little girl's voice. Mom, I'm back. Qin Yuchan suddenly raised her head and wiped away the traces of tears. Pei? Mom, it's me. The courtyard gate was pushed open, and a little girl with a ponytail came skipping in. Behind her was Qin Dashan. Brother-in-law? The moment Zhao Lei saw his brother-in-law, he sprang to his feet. Qin Dashan walked into the courtyard with a cloth bundle in his hand. Lei, you all haven't gone to bed yet? After the old man came back from the commune meeting, he told me to send Pei back first to stay for a few days. Zhao Lei walked over and took the cloth bundle from Qin Dashan's hand. Brother-in-law, come in and sit down. No, it's already very late. I need to hurry back. Qin Dashan waved his hand, but the old man said today's pheasant was very good. Zhao Lei smiled knowingly. He suddenly noticed that Qin Dashan actually had a homemade hunting rifle slung across his back. This surprised him greatly. Brother-in-law, why are you still carrying a gun? Oh, you don't know yet. Yesterday, a child from the neighboring village was taken by a black bear. The old man went to the meeting today because of this matter, and it was decided that at dawn tomorrow all militia teams will enter the mountain to hunt the black bear. Otherwise, with how much the old man likes Pei, would he have let me send the child back overnight? Zhao Lei nodded to himself. Over the past 2 days, he had been hearing about this black bear matter everywhere. Even when he went to the supply and marketing cooperative this afternoon, the shop owner also mentioned it to him. He just hadn't expected the matter to become this serious. Even the militia had been mobilized. However, with a man-eating beast wandering around the outskirts of Qingfeng Mountain, which the 3 production brigades rely on, it indeed posed a great danger to people. Qin Dashin continued. Right now, the Taiyang, Qin Shui, and our Heping production brigade under Tuanjie Township have all received approval to eliminate the threat. The meeting decided that a reward notice will be issued tomorrow. Whoever can kill the black bear and remove the danger will get 50 yuan from each commune of the 3 production brigades, for a total reward of 150 yuan. 150 yuan. 150 yuan. Zhao Lei sucked in a sharp breath. In this era, an ordinary urban worker only earned 20 or 30 yuan a month. 150 yuan would be considered quite a substantial income anywhere in the country. The abacus in his mind started clattering away. A decent pheasant would sell to the supply and marketing cooperative for only 3 yuan. He'd have to shoot 50 pheasants to earn that much. If he could kill that black bear. On the other side, Qin Dashin also dearly loved this adorable niece. Reluctantly, he escorted Pei Pei into the main room, then turned around and, after saying goodbye again, was about to leave. Brother-in-law, wait a moment. Zhao Lei chased after him a few steps and asked, what time will the militia enter the mountain tomorrow? We'll gather at daybreak. Qin Dashin patted the homemade gun on his back. What, you want to give it a try too? Zhao Lei chuckled twice. Brother-in-law, this gun of yours, does it work well? I advise you not to get any ideas either. This money won't be easy to earn. Don't think that just because you got lucky and shot a pheasant from the machinery factory, you can kill a black bear. Even if you have a gun, you're not guaranteed to win. For the sake of my sister and Pei Pei, you'd better not take the risk. I was just asking. All right then, I'll be going now. You'd better take good care of my sister and niece. If I find out you're bullying the 2 of them, just see if I don't come after you. With that, Qin Dashin pushed the door open and left. Zhao Lei saw his brother-in-law out of the courtyard and closed the door. When he returned to the main room, Qin Yuchan had already taken Pei Pei to wash up, and Su Wanqing and Jiang Xinyue had also gone back to their room. The night gradually grew deeper. The earthen house fell quiet, with only the occasional chirping of insects. Zhao Lei blew out the kerosene lamp and groped his way around the doorways of each room in the dark. The house left behind by Zhao Lei's late father was fairly spacious, with 3 bedrooms and a main room. Outside in the courtyard, there was also a crude kitchen and woodshed. After he got divorced and ran away to avoid his debts, his 3 ex-wives happened to each have a room. Which room should he sleep in tonight? Zhao Lei couldn't help but feel like an emperor choosing his consorts. Yesterday, he had already slept with Su Wanqing and Jiang Xinyue, so by all rights tonight, it should be Qin Yuchan's turn to receive his favor. But Qin Yuchan was sleeping in the east room with Pei Pei. Su Wanqing was sleeping in the west room with Yuan and Little Stone, while Jiang Xinyue was sleeping alone in the far west room. Zhao Lei stood in the corridor and pondered for a while. How about going to Jiang Xinyue's place? In the pitch-black far west room. Don't make trouble tonight. I'm very tired today. Go find Sister Yuchan instead. She really needs you today. Zhao Lei had just climbed onto Jiang Xinyue's bed when he was turned away, so he could only tiptoe out of the room. Standing in the courtyard, a gust of night wind made him shiver. Damn, what kind of situation is this? As the man of the house, he even had to wage guerrilla warfare just to find a place to sleep. In the end, Zhao Lei could only walk to the door of the east room. After hesitating for a moment, he still pushed the door open and slipped inside. In the east room, Qin Yuchan seemed to have already fallen asleep holding Pei Pei. Zhao Lei felt his way to the bedside in the dark, carefully lifted a corner of the quilt, and had just lain down when, Sancher, Qin Yuchan's voice suddenly sounded in a low tone, and from the way she spoke, she didn't seem sleepy at all. Sleeping? Zhao Lei grinned. Who let you in? Get out. It's the middle of the night. Where do you expect me to go? Go wherever you want, just don't come bother me. Zhao Lei could hear the irritation in her voice and knew she was still upset about Wang Xiaofeng. He didn't get angry either, shamelessly burrowing into the covers. All right, I'll just sleep here. I promise I won't touch you. You. Shoo. Zhao Lei quickly raised a finger. Don't wake Pei Pei. Qin Yuchan swallowed back the words that had reached her lips. Her daughter was sleeping right beside her, and she didn't want to make any noise. Seeing that Qin Yuchan stopped trying to drive him away, Zhao Lei felt relieved inside and obediently laid down at the edge of the bed. Qin Yuchan waited for a while and found that he really was behaving himself, and her tense body gradually relaxed. In the darkness, Zhao Lei softly said, Don't blame yourself too much for what happened today. Tomorrow I'll go with you to the Taiyang production team, and we'll see if there's anything we can do to help. Qin Yuchan didn't say anything. After a long time, so long that Zhao Lei thought she had already fallen asleep. He suddenly heard her give a soft mm in acknowledgement. Then Zhao Lei closed his eyes, listening to the breathing of the mother and daughter beside him, and gradually fell asleep as well. Before dawn the next day, Zhao Lei woke up. It was the weekend today, so Qin Yuchan was off work and both she and Pei Pei were still asleep. Zhao Lei couldn't bear to wake them, so he quietly got dressed and went out alone. Last night, he had carefully thought through the matter of the black bear. Today, the militia team was going up the mountain to hunt the black bear. If he went late, he might miss out on the huge sum of 150 yuan. He couldn't just sit around waiting, or how long would it take for life to get better? Before Zhao Lei was reborn, he had guarded the mountain alone for decades. Although black bears were protected animals, under special circumstances he had assisted the relevant authorities in hunting 2 adult black bears. He had real combat experience. Plus, with his current young body, Zhao Lei was 70% confident he could complete the hunt. They still hadn't scraped together enough tuition for Pei Pei's schooling, so it looked like it was necessary to take a risk this time. However, a bow and arrows definitely wouldn't be enough. He had to get a hunting rifle first. Just as Zhao Lei had finished getting ready, Su Wanqing suddenly pushed the door open and came out as well. Up this early today? Zhao Lei was a little surprised. I'm joining the emergency medical team today, so I need to go early. Because of the militia team's hunt? Zhao Lei immediately connected it with the news his brother-in-law had mentioned last night. It made sense too, since in the entire production brigade, only Su Wanqing and another old Chinese doctor were physicians. For such a dangerous hunt, she must have also received the news from the commune. Zhao Lei had his own plans. After greeting Su Wanqing, he took the lead and headed out. Only the militia had hunting rifles, so Zhao Lei had to go find Qin Dashan in advance to borrow one. By the time Zhao Lei arrived at his father-in-law's house, the sky was already turning pale with dawn, and there were already several people standing in the yard. At a glance, they were all from the militia, uniformly carrying homemade guns and fully geared up, ready to set off. Qin Dashan was in the yard wiping down a gun, and when he saw Zhao Lei, he froze for a moment. "Lei, what are you doing here?" "Brother-in-law, can we talk over there?" Zhao Lei pulled him aside and lowered his voice. "Brother-in-law, can you lend me your gun for a bit? You really want to go hunt the bear?" Qin Dashan's eyes widened. "That's 150 yuan. I'd be a fool not to earn it. Are you trying to get yourself killed? This is no joke. Last year, someone from the neighboring commune went bear hunting, and I heard half his face was slapped off with one swipe. I know it's dangerous, but isn't that what the gun is for? Besides, I wouldn't be going alone. Aren't you and the militia going too? If I go with you, that should be fine, right?" Just as Qin Dashan was about to speak, an aged yet powerful voice came from behind him. "Who wants to go with the militia?" Zhao Lei turned around and saw a gray-haired but vigorous old man walking out from the main room, holding a peony-patterned enamel tea mug in his hand. It was none other than his father-in-law, Qin Monsong. "Dad," Zhao Lei quickly called out respectfully. Qin Monsong looked him up and down and let out a cold snort. "You hunt a bear? You're still dreaming, aren't you? A gambler like you can barely even slaughter a chicken properly, and you still dare provoke a black bear. Are you going to deliver it an extra meal?" Faced with his father-in-law Qin Monsong's mockery, Zhao Lei didn't take it to heart. His father-in-law was just like his ex-wife Qin Yuchan, sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. But Zhao Lei had already made up his mind. He was determined to get his hands on this windfall. Before his father-in-law showed up, he only needed to persuade his brother-in-law to borrow the rustic hunting gun. But now the problem was that he also had to convince his father-in-law, which gave him a headache. After thinking it over, Zhao Lei said, "Dad, right now they are short-handed for going into the mountains to hunt the black bear. And I have hunting experience too. Besides, the black bear isn't stupid. It won't just foolishly wait for a whole group of us to go shoot it with guns. Just finding the black bear is a technical job in itself." Qin Monsong took a sip of tea and thought for a while. He felt that what Zhao Lei said was not without reason. Hunting a black bear was indeed dangerous, but as long as there were enough people and enough guns, the risk could be minimized. The most crucial issue was still finding the black bear first. Otherwise, if a whole crowd swarmed into the mountains and couldn't even find a single hare, wouldn't that just be a complete waste of labor? Seeing that his father-in-law was hesitating a little, Zhao Lei immediately shot a look at his brother-in-law Qin Dashan beside him. Qin Dashan got the hint and also began to persuade him. "Dad, Lei has a point. Yesterday, the militia from the other production teams had already mobilized a large number of people to search in the mountains, and they still haven't found any trace of the black bear. When it comes to tracking prey, hunters are better at it. One more person means one more bit of strength." Hearing this, Qin Monsong waved his hand. As if I don't know that one more person means one more bit of strength? With Zhao Lei's mediocre hunting skills, what use could he possibly be? He'd be better off going back to plow a few more mu of land and earn some work points. That would be more practical. Zhao Lei refused to give up and, together with his brother-in-law, tried earnestly to persuade him for quite a while. But his father-in-law, as the brigade leader, simply would not budge, leaving them in a difficult spot. And just at that moment, another group of people came in through the door. These people were all around their 40s or 50s, and the man leading them was Qin Chonglin, a well-known old hunter in the production brigade. Zhao Lei recognized him at a glance too. Weren't those the few hunters he ran into when he came down the mountain yesterday? Qin Chonglin also saw Zhao Lei and turned to Qin Montsong, saying, "Brother Montsong, I've brought everyone in the production brigade with hunting experience. Just now I heard at the door that Lazy also wants to go hunt the black bear, and you disagreed? Why is that?" Qin Montsong and Qin Chonglin were cousins of the same generation from the same clan, so they spoke to each other more bluntly. Seeing that the six-man hunter squad had assembled, Qin Montsong said, "What would he go for? This kid would only cause trouble. I think the militia team and the hunter team you brought are enough. Our two groups are sufficient. Even a black bear weighing over 1,000 jin would find it hard to escape death facing so many guns." Qin Chonglin waved his hand. "Ah, Brother Montsong, didn't you ask me to gather all the hunters in the production brigade? I think Lazy is quite good. Yesterday I happened to see him take down a full 6 pheasants, and I even saw that he used a bow and arrow to shoot them. His accuracy and precision were both very good. He's a skilled hunter. Bring this kid along." As soon as Zhao Lei heard there was a chance, he quickly chimed in. Right. Uncle Chonglin saw my hunting skills yesterday." But Qin Montsong unhappily scolded. "Can hunting pheasants be the same as hunting a bear? Brother Montsong, when it comes to management and farming, I'm not as good as you. But when it comes to hunting, you're not as good as me. I'm taking Lazy for sure. He also counts as one of the best hunters in our production brigade, so let him be on my team." Zhao Lei quickly echoed, Right. Dad, just let me go with Uncle Chonglin. No matter what, I'm also one of our production brigade's members. And this black bear is threatening everyone's safety, so I want to do my part too." Qin Dashin also helped put in a word. "That's right, Dad. Lazy just came back, and quite a few people still have a lot against him. Just let him do his part, so he can also turn over a new leaf in the brigade later, right?" Everyone was speaking up for Zhao Lei. Qin Montsong thought it over and felt that made sense, so in the end he nodded helplessly and agreed. In the end, a line of more than 30 people, fully equipped and ready to go, headed mightily toward Qingfeng Mountain. But just after leaving the house, Zhao Lei noticed an extra sneaky-looking figure in the hunting party he was with. He slowly moved over and slapped a hand onto the other person's shoulder. "Hey!" That startled the person. After lifting the straw hat, he finally saw that the young man was none other than Zhao Lei's brother-in-law, Qin Yuchan's younger brother, Qin Bowen. Qin Bowen had thick brows, big eyes, and a tall, sturdy build. Caught red-handed by Zhao Lei, he scratched his head and gave a simple grin. Hee. Brother-in-law. Zhao Lei remembered that his brother-in-law was 17 this year and seemed to be studying in town, so how had he suddenly appeared in the group? "You brat, how did you sneak in here? Weren't you studying?" "Brother-in-law, I came back a few days ago and have been staying at home. The college entrance exam still hasn't been reinstated, so I thought I'd come home and help out." Zhao Lei nodded to himself. Indeed, the college entrance exam had not yet been reinstated in 1978, but if he remembered correctly, it should be soon. "What are you doing here? Hurry up and go back inside." But his brother-in-law Qin Bowen grabbed Zhao Lei's arm. "Brother-in-law, the pheasant you got yesterday was so delicious. I want to go with you today to hunt pheasants." "You brat, we're going to hunt a black bear today. What are you tagging along for? Hurry back. If you don't go back now, I'll call your big brother to deal with you." At the thought of his big brother Qin Dashin, Qin Bowen suddenly shivered. The bloodline suppression of the family's eldest son made his heart pound with fear.